he's telling you up front, he's like, I'm telling you that I'm leaving, but I'm also leaving you. So I can appreciate someone telling you up front. Yeah, you should appreciate that, honestly. So here's the deal. When I've been doing these things, this stand-up, I've been kind of having an incentive program for myself where if I feel like it lands, people laugh, it's good, then I take myself out for a treat afterwards. So I've been going to Krispy Kreme donuts, I've been going to Baskin Robbins, Sugarfish. But if it sucks and no one's laughing at all, doesn't land, then I just go home and have a salad. So I'm saying that up front so that if you don't laugh at anything I say tonight, it's all good, right? Because you're helping to not turn my pre-diabetes into diabetes, and I appreciate you for it. So thank you. All right. So I know we go around a lot, by we I mean the blacks. We go around a lot saying black don't crack. And I can say that, you can't say that. I can say that. We go around saying black don't crack, but I just want to let you all know that black does crack, okay? It's insidious, you don't see it. So today's my birthday. Yay, shout out to Mary and Lyra for having sex that one time, yay. Where are all my unplanned babies at? Because I was an unplanned baby. I just showed up. Thank you, yes. We out here, watch us. Can't stop, won't stop, that's right. So, you know, I'm 39, which is like 28 in black years, in my opinion. And and I'll fool myself sometimes. I'll be like, you know what, girl, you look good, you know, but a lot of times my body will remind me, no, bitch, you are almost 40. For example, there will be times where I will just wake up, lift my head off the pillow, and I have a neck pain. What's that about? I have no idea. I have limited mobility in my knees, so twerking and marathons are out of the question for me. I too have a very special thing that started to happen a few years ago, very much like my friend Mistress K, who's now here. I started graying in my nether regions, and just there. Yeah, sit with that for a second, okay? Because that's weird. It's fucking weird. When it happened, I was in denial about it, you know, like I was kind of like, oh, that's just the sun hitting it. And it was not. It was not the sun. It was, in fact, gray hair. So I did what one does. I went to the Googles, and I typed in, why do you gray early in your nether regions? Oh, actually, I didn't put the nether regions part, because Google doesn't even know all your business, so you don't have to put everything in the Googles. But Kids Health was the first website that came up, and apparently they're the preeminent, you know, scholars on all things gray hair. Who knew? And Kids Health informed me that it's from a death of the pigmentation in your hair follicles, and it's usually hereditary, so your parents are the ones that cause that. So I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, when did you start graying in your lady bit? She's like, I don't know. I was like, 50? I'm like, 50? You're not even close to 50. So, ruled out my mom, it's obviously my father, so let's just take a running tally really quick of the things that my father has given me. Weak enamel, moles, those are fun. Early graying in my nether regions, and abandonment issues. How exciting. He's such a giver. Even when he's not around, just giving all the time. So I've been talking to my good friend Kathy, and by my good friend Kathy I mean my therapist, but I pay her, but she's my friend. But sometimes you have to pay your friend, so she's my friend. So, but you know, Kathy and I have been talking about some things, like cutting your parents some slack, because they don't really know what they're doing. They're just, you know, adults trying to figure shit out, right? So, but I realized that my mom had some really unorthodox ways of raising me, but ultimately I feel like I'm fairly well adjusted, except for the fact that I just talked to you all about my gray nether regions. But outside of that, I feel like I'm fairly well adjusted. So Mary Belle Fitchett Jenkins, and I name all three of my mother's married names because she was married 3 times and divorced, and I do it for 2 reasons. Okay, 1, to let us all know that love and hope springs eternal, so never give up on love, because she never did. But 2, so you also need to know when to get the fuck out, because she did that 3 times as well. When I would break up with people when I was younger, she used to say to me, girl, you need to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. I'm like, did you just quote The Gambler? She loves her some Kenny Rogers, though, she really does. But Mary Belle Fitchett Jenkins had an unorthodox way of raising me, and somewhat traumatic, but ultimately I think I'm okay. For example, when I was 7, my mother once woke me up in the middle of the night and told me that she was going to cut my throat if I didn't finish an assignment for school, which I had a whole month to finish. Now, was she crazy? Absolutely. Did I do the work? Absolutely, I did it. Traumatic? Yes, absolutely. However, now, if you tell me, Dana, I need something done by Friday, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Great work ethic. Great work ethic. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. It gets better. Mary Belle Fitchett Jenkins' way, you know, most of the time people have daughters, they're concerned about birth control, they want to keep their kids, you know, keep their daughters from getting pregnant, so take them down to the doctor, get them on the pill. Maribel Fidget Jenkins' way of birth control was to let me know when I was 7 that if I got pregnant, I wouldn't have to worry about how I was going to tell her. All I needed to do was pack my things and leave, and then she would know that's what it was. So I just went ahead and locked it up. I just locked it up all. I mean, I still don't have kids, so mission accomplished, right? Mission accomplished. Ultimately, all of that is to say that we all need therapists, because I needed to work through the trauma to find the ha-ha out of all of that, because ultimately, it's still funny that my mom was, and you know, I talked to her now about it, she's like, you know, I really wasn't going to do any of that to you, and I'm like, you sure as shit sounded like you were going to, so, but yeah, I gotta love your mom. Who here knows or can figure out, like, the idea that the more delicious a chip, the worse it makes your breast smell? Is that just me, or is that just, because I love Cool Ranch Doritos, right? But I legitimately have to have some real tough choices in my mind when I eat a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. Like, 1, how close in proximity am I to a toothbrush and toothpaste? Or 2, like, do I even need to talk to people in general, like, in person for the rest of the day? And if I don't, then I just go for it. Okay, obviously you guys don't like a tasty chip, so whatever. You guys are lazy people, obviously. Who here is concerned about the health and well-being of Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Anybody? You should be, because she's holding the balance of power right now, and you need to be concerned about it. She's had a few cancer scares, and I know she's a bad bitch, but I'm still worried. Like, at this point, I literally just want an app that has her vital signs attached to it, so that I can just check on her during the day, see how she's doing, like what's going on with her oxygen levels, is her blood pressure okay? And I realize at this point that I haven't had this much investment in the health and well-being of an old white lady since Catherine Chancellor got sober and Young and Restless. Okay? And if you don't know what I mean when I say Catherine Chancellor getting sober and Young and Restless, it's clear that your parents or your grandparents didn't have any quality time with you. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Let's see, what else? Who likes Netflix out here? Yeah. So me too. So I've been watching Netflix, and I find that Netflix is kind of judgy. Like I don't. It's kind of judgy as fuck. So I'll watch a show. It's like a 20-minute long show, right? So I watch like 3 in a row, and all of a sudden I get a thing come on the screen that says, "Are you still watching?" I'm like, "Am I still watching? Your business model is for me to binge this show. Why are you asking me the question, am I still watching?" That's like going to a buffet and having the waiter ask you, "Are you still eating?" I'm like, "Did you just put fresh crab legs out?" Well then yes, I'm still eating. In my day, TVs did not used to be this, they weren't this uppity, they just let you watch them, and then the reason you would know to get up and stop watching is because the national anthem would come on and go, beep. Fucking uppity TVs. Netflix is judging. Who here likes strippers? Yes. Okay, I have mad respect for strippers. Let me tell you why. I took one of those pole dancing classes. That shit is hard. You think it's arms and legs. It's not arms and legs, it's core. It's all core work, and that's never been my ministry. So, I just have mad respect for them, and I probably love strippers way more than Drake does at this point. And if there are any strippers out here, queens, I love you, I respect you, because I don't know what y'all do after. I don't know what you do. Let's see. I'll leave you with this little ditty. When I grew up in Virginia and in Texas, okay. Nobody from Virginia, nobody from Texas. Okay, cool. Virginia. Okay, hey, Virginia. When I was growing up in Virginia, I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, and then my mom remarried and we moved to Texas. So I went from having aw friends to having e friends. And let me explain. So in Virginia, I had friends whose names were Latoya and Shaniqua and Dornita. Okay, and then when I moved to Texas, I started having friends whose names were Molly and Christy and Jenny. And this prompted my mother to one day ask me, "Don't you have any black friends?" Which I thought was really rude of her, because I'm like, wait a minute, you moved us here, and you didn't even move us to Beyonce's Houston, you moved us to suburbia Houston, which is really unfair of you to mention. But just for the record, if you're concerned, I did have black friends. All 4 of us got together every day and sang Boyz II Men songs. No, I'm just kidding, it's Jodeci, but I just want to see who loves Boyz II Men more than Jodeci. No, actually, that never happened, but see, you all laughed like it did, so thank you very much for that. All right, guess who's having Cool Ranch Doritos tonight?